Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here. We got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed edge rusher Malik Reed. Coming up here on the show, I'll tell you why I like the move, why I believe that the Raiders ended up doing it, and hopefully they end up promoting him to the 53-man roster because as it stands right now, he is a member of the practice squad, but I do think that's only going to be a short time lived. If you love the Raiders and you always find yourself looking for news, I got you covered here. I'm a diehard Raider fan just like all of y'all, and when I saw the news that the Raiders signed Malik Reed, don't get me wrong, the move is a very type of move, but after the Bills game, after the Pittsburgh Steelers game, the fact that Josh McDaniels finally added something to this defensive line, the fact that this team finally said, you know what, maybe we do need to give Max Crosby some help. Maybe we do need to add an edge rusher to be able to get after the quarterback. That's why I'm here, because I need something to celebrate. I need something positive to talk about, or else I'm going to go clinically insane. And if you feel the exact same way, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. That way, anytime breaking news happens, we got you covered here. All right, let's continue to talk about Malik Reed. So last week, I did a segment around Chandler Jones replacements, and one of the names on my Chandler Jones replacement video was, in fact, Malik Reed. He was on the Miami Dolphins practice squad, and most of y'all probably remember him from when he played with the Denver Broncos a little bit earlier on in his career from 2019 to 2021. He was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers last season, but he did visit with the Silver and Black earlier this month. I want to say that his visit was right before week 2, if my memory serves me correct. And I talked about Reed and I talked about Quincy Roche as the top 2 players that if the Raiders end up bringing somebody in, I think it's between those 2 guys. I had a source tell me that, and then the fact that they worked both of them out. He has played in 59 games. He has started in 36. He has 16 career sacks. Like, I'm not going to say that Malik Reed is going to totally change this defense. And if you hear anybody saying that, they're just trying to pump up the numbers a little bit, right? But this is a depth move if the Raiders end up moving him to the 53-man roster, because realistically, I look at the Raiders practice squad, I would promote Mykal Walker and I would promote Malik Reed right now from that practice squad onto their active roster. But the reason that the Raiders needed to do this move is because their defensive end group, their edge rushers, it's still a big-time question mark. We know that we have Max Crosby. We know that we have one of the best defensive ends in the National Football League. But outside of that, there's just too many unknowns. Like Tyree Wilson is 100% not healthy. Malcolm Koonce has been playing a lot better and actually deserves more playing time. And I think the way that the Raiders use Malcolm Koonce is kind of what you're going to see them do with Malik Reed. And I'll talk about that a little bit more because Reed is a lot better of a run stopper than what Koonce is. But Chandler Jones, still nowhere to be found. And maybe Reed's here to help out a little bit. From a linebacker position, Robert Spillane has played solid. Divine Diablo has played solid. And, you know, I go back and I think about all the times I use the word versatility in the offseason, and yet it doesn't really seem like versatility is much of a factor this year with Patrick Graham because, well, they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if we do want to go back to doing what the Raiders said that they were going to do in the offseason, and they were going to be a versatile team, top to bottom, you could potentially use Malik Reed as a linebacker, but you could also use him as an edge rusher. So anytime breaking news happens, I got you covered here no matter how big or small the news truly is. So the question that I really want to ask you is, how about this? All right, this is the ballsy one, Chugs wants. Will Malik Reed start for the Raiders? Give me a yes or give me a no down below. For those of you watching this live, I need to know. For those of you that aren't watching this live, we're live right now on the Raiders Report, and we might still be live. But anytime something happens, we sit up here and we discuss it. In terms of will Malik Reed end up starting for the Las Vegas Raiders this week? No, I don't see it end up happening. Like, I'm hoping that he ends up getting promoted. And the fact that he is on the practice squad as it stands right now is the hope that he does end up getting promoted, because last week they promoted Isaac Rochelle. Isaac Rochelle should probably just stick to TikTok at this point of his career because he's not doing too much on the football field. Now, I'll get into how I think he's going to impact this defense, why the Raiders did it in terms of Chandler Jones, Malcolm Koonce, and why I am Excited about the move, and I'll give you my grade at the very end. I'm going to want to know what your grade is too. However, before I get into all that, got a sponsor shout out here on today's show, and I got to show some love to Prize Picks because we've had a lot of sponsors here on the Raiders Report. This is one of my favorites, and the reason I always say that this one is one of my favorites for people who have watched this show for a long time, the real one for life, the OGs. Y'all know I'm a fantasy football dude at heart, and I've been using Prize Picks for a very, very long time. So the fact that they are here from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you to each and every one of y'all. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. For you watching live, you can find the link right now down in the comments and in the description. For those of you not watching live, guess what? Down in the description as well. All right, so go get quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Also, on top of that, I wanted to show you what picks I'm going to be making, and I'm telling y'all, this entire year, I'm making picks around Raiders football games or things that I like to make picks on. So for Justin Herbert, 284.5 passing yards, I'm just going to be more on that because it's the Raiders defense after all. Fantasy's about having fun. Darren Waller, less, 45.5 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs will find the end zone. He has yet to find the end zone this season, so give me more on the 0.5 overall touchdowns. But, man, I'm telling y'all, I've been playing Prize Picks for a very long time, and if you love doing fantasy, I think you're going to love this as well. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, let's continue to look here at this Raiders defense because, well, this is one of the reasons why I'm going with more with Justin Herbert. And I still, just because I'm going with more, doesn't mean that the Raiders are going to lose. I hope, obviously, that the Raiders win. But this defense needs a spark. Raider Nation needs a spark. And I'm hoping Malik Reed is able to provide that. Points allowed per game, 25.7. I will admit that I do think the Raiders defense deserves a little bit more credit than maybe what they are getting because the offense, for example, is 31st in the NFL with plays. And what do I mean by that? It means they're on the field barely at all. 53 plays per game, which is 31st in the league. But I need somebody that helps the Raiders get off the field on third down because at 46.15%, that's terrible. And how's an easy way to be able to get off the field on third down? What's an easy way to make sure that Justin Herbert doesn't hit that more? Because I'll tell you this, I would love to be wrong on that pick. It's getting your edge rushers, getting your defensive line up the field and get after your quarterback. That way your secondary and your linebackers don't have to cover guys for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Because you know who needs help? This guy. I feel bad for Max. And Max will never admit it. But I think he's got to look himself in the mirror and be like, holy crap, man, if I just had something around me, it would be amazing. And I honestly think that if he had something around him, the NFL would give him the respect. The NFL community would give him the respect that he deserves because he is truly one of the best edge rushers, truly one of the best defensive ends in the league. He just gets doubled and triple teamed all the time because, let's face it, you would do the exact same thing. He's got 15 tackles. He's got 2 sacks. Giggity. But the one player that I know a lot of Raider fans have been waiting on to make a spark, it's Tyree Wilson. And here's the thing. He's not healthy. And Tyree Wilson is being put in a position that is unfair to him at the same time when you're the number 7 overall pick, at the same time when you're on a team that needs defensive help, at the same time when you're on a team that's missed on all of their first-round picks essentially since 2018. The stakes are going to be a little bit higher when it comes to Tyree. But Tyree Wilson was not anticipated to play this year, at least not off the beginning. They were hoping to have Chandler Jones. So Chandler Jones is not available. Tyree Wilson is not healthy. So what do? They go out and they add somebody that has some past playing experience, some past experience in the AFC West and played his best football in the AFC West, and that's Malik Reed. The other thing that I think Reed's going to be able to bring to the table, instead of not just being able to get after the quarterback, we always sit up here and say, Malcolm Koonce, right? We always say Malcolm Koonce is a good pass rusher, which he is. He's terrible against the run, though. Malik Reed, think of him as like a Malcolm Kuntz-esque player, not as good of a pass rusher, but a much better player in the run game. So if you want to be able to circulate Kuntz and Malik Reed in certain situations where, all right, if I think that they're going to run, I can put Malik Reed out there on the field as an edge rusher / outside linebacker. If I think they're going to pass, you have Malcolm Kuntz out there to be able to pin his ears back and go out and get the quarterback. But the other thing is experience. We need more players that have experience, especially in the AFC West. Like, I truly, truly believe that. And I'm not going to sit up here and say you're going to get the Reed from 2020 when he had 8 sacks, 53 tackles. I think that was the year Von Miller ended up getting hurt, or somebody ended up getting hurt for the Broncos, and he was put in a position to go out there and succeed. So with that, I have seen a player that, all right, you give him some playing time, maybe gets his feet wet a little bit, and who knows? The momentum can shift. I know this. The Raiders needed a change. There's no doubt about it. And if you think that the Raiders didn't need a change, well then, I don't know what 2 games you've been watching, but maybe you're a lot happier off. Hell, I saw on social media that a Raider fan of 40 years wrote the Raiders and said he's not watching games anymore because it's not good for his mental health. Malik Reed signing is good for my mental health, which is why I'm up here talking about it. If you were curious about his PFF grades, snaps last season, 369. This was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. An overall grade of 63.8. A run defense grade of 72.1. A pass rush grade of 50.9. But Reed, to me, was a player that I brought up during my Chandler Jones replacements because I've said up here on this show, and I'll say it again, I hope Chandler Jones, and I wish Chandler nothing but the best. I think every single person here as a Raider fan agrees with this statement of, I pray for Chandler. Everybody wants him to be okay as a human being. But from the Raiders' standpoint in me was, you were signed to this team to be a big-time contributor, and you're not here. From a Raider fan standpoint, I am very frustrated with Chandler Jones. From a human standpoint, I want you to get right. I think we can all agree on that, right? But for Chandler Jones and the recent around him, they placed him on the NFI list for a personal matter, which was last week. He's out a minimum of 4 games. He already missed 1, so now he's going to miss at minimum 3 more. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think you're ever going to see Chandler Jones on a football field again because if I'm an NFL owner, if I'm an NFL head coach, I get you might want to win football games. And sure, maybe Chandler Jones when he's out there helps you. But from like the person standpoint, I just don't think that you can put him out there on the field with his current situation, we'll call it. So how about this? Let's talk about Malik Reed real quick here. And I want you to grade the signing. For those of you that are watching this live, there is a live poll at the very, very top right now. And I'm also going to give my grade on this signing. If this was during NFL free agency, I would give this a C minus grade. And honestly, I know it's only the practice squad, but the fact of the current situation that the Raiders are in, I'll give this a C plus grade. That I'm hoping if he gets activated to the 53-man roster, it turns out to be a B minus B, and of course I would love to have it turn into an A and an A plus. The Raiders needed help on defense, and what I did not want to see, again, because it drives me nuts, is when McDaniels, Ziegler, Patrick Graham say this is the game plan, and even if it's not working, they're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I see this move here with Reed as, all right, something wasn't working. Hopefully, they figure out how to do something a little bit different, and it creates a spark, and it gets the wave. Josh McDaniels at his press conference on Monday said turnovers come in waves. Well, I also believe good football comes in waves as well. And all I can hope is that this move sparks the defense. It motivates some other people because Malik Reed's going to be coming for a job, and the good waves start rolling. Because if the waves don't start rolling, like Devontae Adams said, I know it's only week 3, but I ain't got time to waste. And if you don't got time to waste, make sure you're tuning into all of our live shows this entire week. I have a wedding, so I'm actually going to be going to Fargo, North Dakota here in a little bit, which is why my schedule's kind of weird this week. But hey, Jeremy Chuggs, shout out to Nick Roloff. You guys know him as Rolly. They're going to be live tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Going to have some fun games in tune. Live Sunday, Raiders, Chargers. We'll see if Malik Reed ends up suiting up for that game. Again, he is on the practice squad. You have to promote him to the 53. I know I personally would do it, especially against an AFC West opponent, which he is familiar with. And then I'll be live Monday, Tuesday, every single week, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, here on the Raiders Report.